At some point or another, each of us is asked to do some kind of public speaking. Maybe it's an actual speech. Maybe you have to give a sales presentation or go to a job interview. And for too many people, these experiences are the source of crippling fear. So today I'd like to share a lesson I learned about how not to get over that fear, but at least work with it and still have some success. And I learned that lesson in one of the unlikeliest of places, on the golf course, from one of my heroes, Mr. Arnold Palmer. Now, my first job in golf was down at the Bay Hill Club in Florida. It was Mr. Palmer's winter residence. And at the time I knew him, he was 78 years old. And he didn't really play much golf anymore. He had had one hip replacement and he needed another. And so the pain kept him off the course, and except for maybe a few holes with the men's club now and then. But he still got up and practiced every single day. Every day in the hot Florida sun, he could be found at the end of the range beating golf balls. After I observed this for about a month, I finally got up the courage to ask him about it. And I said to him, "Sir, you've won all the tournaments and done everything there is to do in golf. And you're a celebrity beloved the world over. And now you don't play much anymore, but you're still out here practicing every single day. And I was just wondering, do you work on something while you're doing this, or do you just really love the experience of hitting golf balls?" He chuckled at me and he said, "Well, I guess, Eric, it's a bit of both. But if you want to know the truth, I just want to make sure the next time I step on the first tee, I don't make an ass out of myself." And as funny as that response was, I was really taken aback because anybody that's ever played golf knows about the first tee jitters. That feeling of everybody's looking at me and, oh gosh, what do I do? In fact, in 15 years of teaching golf, every single student eventually brought it up to me. And I'd tell them, well, this story. And I'd say, don't think you're ever getting rid of the first tee jitters because the greatest player of all time still has them. But don't worry about it because you're in good company because the greatest player of all time still has them. And where do these first tee jitters come from? Well, they come from a perceived lack of credibility, a feeling like you don't belong. Some people call it the imposter syndrome. So when my clients would bring it up, I'd ask them, have you done your practice? Do you know your game? Were you invited to be here? Inevitably, the questions are answered yes. So step up, hit your ball, and play. And I think that's really good advice for giving a presentation or a speech. I always ask myself, am I prepared? Was I invited to be here? Because if I was, the people here want to hear what I have to say. They're interested in me. So despite how I feel, let's step up and get started. Now, that doesn't mean you're not going to be nervous, right? Because Arnold Palmer still got first tee jitters. I'm sure the greatest speakers of our day still get nervous each time they step in front of a crowd. So let's embrace that. That nervous energy can be motivation. It can come across as enthusiasm. It can remind you, and you can remind yourself, to be prepared. Remind you to show up early. Now, not so early that you're running around getting yourself worked up, but early enough that you can be relaxed and settle into a nice routine. Maybe have a nice cup of coffee while you observe the crowd. Maybe check your clothes in the mirror that one last time before you go up and get started. And when you do get started, when you're still a little nervous, I say lead with a strength. Maybe you're supposed to give a speech about the third quarter sales results, but what you're really an expert in is guitar. Well, then talk about guitar. Get up there and talk about how guitars are built or how they're strung or how you put a few chords together into a lick. The audience will respond to that expertise. They'll respond to your command of your subject. You can always segue into what you want to talk about. But now that you have the audience giving you their full attention, now that you've established yourself as someone with credibility, they'll follow you on any journey you want to go. That energy you get from them will give you more confidence. That confidence will build more credibility with them. And now you've got yourself a virtuous cycle. And before you know it, your presentation's over and people are telling you what a great job you've done.